Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, Karen parked in my driveway that claimed the house was hers. Entitled mother is taking advantage of me. Update on my EM trying to destroy my life. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Karen parked in my driveway that claimed the house was hers. So I am a 14-year-old male and my family recently moved into a house in a new estate. This estate had a park that was massive. My house is on the main road of the estate and its garage is on the other side on another road, and we are close to the park. About 2 months ago they hosted an opening ceremony for the park. A lot of people came, people from the surrounding areas came as well. Me, my brother and my parents left our house and walked down to the park. Due to all the traffic there were people to manage it. Once we get there we see a car parked in our driveway. My dad is a calm dude usually, but he doesn't like stuff like this. Me and my brother, 18 years old, go up to one of the workers and tell him that the car in there wasn't ours and we don't want it there. The worker tells us he saw the people parked there and kind of remembers what they look like. We tell him that it would be good if we get the car moved. He says he will try find her. About 20 minutes later, we see him walking up to the car with a lady and her son who looked to be about 9. She walks up there and we see her starting to get angry. Naturally, we walk up to see what's happening. This is the conversation that happened, not 100% accurate, it's been a while. Karen, I don't understand why you want me to move my car. I live here. Worker, well, they say that you don't and I don't see why they would bring this issue here unless it was true. Karen, they are clearly lying. I live here. My brother, ma'am, please. I live here and I even have keys to the house, please move your car. Karen, bullshit, complete bullshit. I have lived here for a year and watched this park get built. Our house was finished 5 months prior to this. My brother, okay then, what 2 cars are inside the garage then? Karen, a Volkswagen and a Mazda. My brother, nope, a VW Jetta and a Hyundai i45. Karen, that's not true, I'll open the garage and show you. As she scuffles through her handbag, my brother opens the garage. My brother, there, that's the evidence. Closes the garage. Worker, it's not your house, so please leave. She gets in the car and leaves while looking very angry. We didn't think to call the cops because nothing major happened, but it was funny to see her lying out of her ass and getting proven wrong. P.S. I hope the man with a dog named Hugo sees this, love your content. Also, I meant and in the title, sorry. Sadly, too many resort to lying and then get angry when proven to be liars. Icker, did she expect that we wouldn't be able to prove ourselves or that somehow she would be believed? This happened to my mom. There was a big parade in her small town and Sol would just park wherever. She had just got off her morning shift and came home to find people parked in her driveway and hanging out on her porch and using her patio set on her deck. A few people had even borrowed her camping chairs, which she keeps in the corner of her patio. She asked them if the cars belonged to any of them. They said they did, but that they lived there and she could F off to park elsewhere. She was like whatever and parked behind the vehicles sideways, thus blocking all of them in. The group was screaming at her to move her car or they will call the cops on her. She just smirked and unlocked her side door and went in the house. She said it was hilarious hearing the people panicking because they realized they messed up. They called the local police on her when she refused to move her car. She is friends with the police, super small town. They laughed and said technically they couldn't force mom to move her car since she was parked legally in her own driveway. Mom finally moved it and told them she wouldn't have had a problem if they hadn't decided her lawn chairs and patio were theirs to use. She scolded them and said they should park to the side so the homeowner could still park and to sit their asses in the tree lawn like normal people do. Sadly, people parking on others' property is a way too common occurrence. I never understood why nobody ever thinks to just knock or ring the doorbell and ask if it's alright to park there for a few hours. Doubt many people would decline if asked politely and given a proper explanation why. I hate people parking on my property, and I'm normally vocal about moving people on. One day, a neighbor 5 doors up, who we had never met, put a note around that they would have a lot of cars in the street that weekend due to a death in the family. That weekend, I was out the front, directing cars onto my lawn to make it easier for the family. I live across the street from an elementary school. Parking can be a problem. I also don't have a car but do have a driveway. If someone parks without asking, it pisses me off, but if they do ask, I always cheerfully agree. Her kid must be so used to her lying. If I said I lived somewhere we didn't, my kid would be like, "No, we do not." If she ever shows up again and parks her car, call the police right away. Cars can be towed if left on someone's property. Heck, I used to live in a house where people parked so badly on a street it created really bad blind spots. I couldn't have the car towed, it was a public street, but the police got so many complaints about these cars they constantly came out to ticket them. Most of the time, they wouldn't come back after being ticketed. Do you have security cameras that could have gotten her license plate? Technically, what she did was trespassing, and it's illegal. Entitled mother is taking advantage of me. So this is a somewhat long post. I'm gonna try to keep it short, but looking for feedback, so might get lengthy. I am 30, currently live with my mother, 53, and her husband, 50. My mother has not worked a job in 3.5 years, while her husband works full-time seasonally, but gets paid part-time wages due to his employer paying lawyer fees to keep him out of jail some years back. I work full-time plus overtime, 60 hours a week, federal company even. I got this job in 2019. In 2016, I moved into this 2-bedroom townhouse with my mother. I was still working part-time, got a full-time job that paid well, $16 an hour plus OT, for a 23-year-old. I was paying half on the rent and the full light bill, $400 plus in CT with old infrastructure skull, as well as food, her cell phone bill, gassing up her car and buying her cigarettes. I did not have a car at the time, so she would drive me to the bus stop and asked for gas and cigs as appreciation for her helping me. The job was contracted, I didn't get converted to permanent employee, so a new job came with a small pay cut, and full-time for this company was 33 hours a week but could walk from home. By this point, 2017, my mother had paid off most of her car and was financially good. I began to struggle with the lights and half the rent due to my pay cut, and she made it an entire thing about me choosing to not pay, when I'm showing her my bank account to disprove her assumption. Fast forward to late 2018, she starts dating her now husband, could not be happier to see her getting a life. I get hired at a full-time, well-paying job. She decides she wants to move in with her boyfriend and leave me the townhouse, with the furniture as a gift, if I can cover the bills and all on my own. I'm all for it. Mind you, this gift came after she stole the title of my car out of my room and sold it while I was at work to a family member and kept the money. Jump to August 2019 and I got hired by the post office, best pay, and more hours than I could know what to do with. I'm banking. Living solo, enjoying my time to self-fire then. March 2020, I get called that my mother is quitting her job because she's tired of commuting, moved 2 towns over, and she worked in medical and claimed my job is allowing COVID patients to come in, so she quit. To be a stay-at-home wife in 2020. Gave her $200 for her birthday, and she then made that a money thing to ask for, which my dumb thought was fine to help. Her half-brained husband tells her it's fine, that he can handle the bills while she takes a break because she deserves it. Whole time, his ass can't afford shit. Think when you sweep a room and brush the dirt under the rug, except the dirt is bills, so who do they call once shut-off notices and back due rent from a year ago is due? Call me. And since my mother was on the OG lease and we never told the owner she moved, wasn't much I could say. The idea was they move in with the intent to save towards buying a home and leaving me with my own space again. Find out half-brain's credit score is in the 400s and my mother not working, couldn't apply for a loan. The plan is then I'll collect unemployment and save towards a house. She finagled unemployment and her husband job hopped a total of 5 times since. Whole time, I'm paying a majority on everything, like 70/30th split, because they have to save and I've been covering it myself anyway. Every time I talk about moving or apartment hunting going well, I get threatened with eviction or police calls from my mother, calls up the family to tell them I'm sabotaging. I sacrificed my life for you kids and you don't appreciate shit could be a t-shirt in this house. She even has the family convinced that she's been working for the last 4 years. This woman bought a whole computer and has it on the kitchen table to appear like she works from home when people come over. This shit is insane and her husband just supports it like a dumb. I need to get away, but I can't properly save for rent/deposit, while also paying $1,250 for rent and lights, 70/30th split, along with all my own food, cosmetics, car insurance, cell phone, gas, and random expenses. Just had to replace my alternator 2 weeks ago, and local rent plus deposit is $3,000 plus, Central Connecticut. All this while my mother sits at home and shit talks me to her husband and anyone who will listen. And she shit talks all of those people, broke-ass husband, her words included. I don't want to dislike my mother, but the thought of being taken advantage of has been at the forefront of my mind for too long now. I can't even exchange pleasantries with this woman without getting bothered lately. Am I being too harsh or is this entitled mother bullshit? Stop paying the bills. If I read this correctly, nothing is in your name. It's all in hers. Including the lease. Meaning she's lying about getting you in legal trouble. It's a go-to for narc parents to threaten their children with lawsuits, grandparent rights, calling the police to report you missing/falsely accuse you of abuse, etc. Check your credit now to be sure she hasn't placed anything in your name. If you find something, don't say a word to her, just report it as fraud because it is. Also, don't say a word about moving out. Just leave. Even if it means you place your things in storage and stay in a hotel until you find a place. Or you may have to leave everything and just take a bag that has what you need. Peace of mind, body, and soul is so invaluable. Please make sure she doesn't have access to your bank accounts. Time to stop paying mom, save your money. Sorry, there was a screw up with my check, it will be a few weeks. Move out and block. If the apartment and utilities aren't in your name, stop paying for them and save every cent to get a deposit for your own place and move out. When they start complaining to family that you moved out, tell all the family that they shouldn't have believed them, that they were paying for anything and that all they were doing was leeching off you and you were done being their ATM machine. You have paid your dues, let them wallow in some shithole. As has been said many times, not your circus, not your monkeys. Also, don't set yourself on fire to warm someone else. Cut them off and move out, then go no contact with them for a while. Let them decide that they might actually need to work for a living rather than being a leech to you. Also, you should stop by your local police station before you move out and explain you are 30 years old and your mother is going to go crazy when you leave and may call them to report you missing. Just a way to get ahead of the drama. Good luck. Stop paying. It's her lease. She'll have to go through the eviction process to kick you out. By the time it's all said and done, you'll have enough to move out. If you stop paying for a couple of months, you'll be able to save up and get out. If she asks for money, just shrug and say you don't have it, maybe next month. Your name isn't on the lease, so they won't come after you, they'll go after your mother. In 3 months you can have enough to move out. There's nothing she can do except use empty threats. It's time you live your life and not give everything to hers. Good luck. You'll soon be happier than ever. Your mom is taking advantage of you because you allow it. Your name isn't on the lease. Stop paying anything towards the rent. If she threatens to kick you out, you'll have to evict me. Open a bank account and deposit most of your checks. This is your get the heck out account. Do banking online versus having statements mailed to your mom's address, where she could take a peek at how much money you have or try to access the money. Do you have a friend or relative you can stay with temporarily? Confide how your mom has been financially taking advantage of you and you need temporary housing until you saves enough to get your own place. The worst that can happen is being told no. Once you move out, cut contact with your mother and her husband. They are users. That's who they are and what they do. Update on my EM trying to destroy my life. Long story short, maybe June 30th I was leaving out of my room to head out to a friend to give them a ride. My mother has a dog, family dog, that has separation anxiety. The Yorkie will sometimes run from her room into the hall to bite the ankles/limbs of whoever is leaving between the three of us, while barking up a storm. My mother has created an entitled dog, saying that he does it because he doesn't like his peace disturbed, so he attacks, and this was a bad one. He jumps, bites 2 holes in my knee, and I flinch back, knocking a vase off the banister, which my mother jumped at the opportunity to start an argument over. I didn't argue though, I was more focused on my knee, as she's starting rambling about "I need you to leave, you should have been moved out," to which I say I got my clearance for my work transfer to Los Angeles via the post office. Preemptive date is July 15th, so I'll be out in no time. Should have taken the advice of keeping plans to myself. She didn't say congrats or even crack a smile, just said she was prorating the rent for the month of July. Told her I was not going to pay her, that I would need the money to finance my move. She threatened me with court eviction, to which I agreed. Here's where I took some advice, told her that if she took me to court, I could take her for auto theft and forgery. She flipped and I said I wasn't arguing, take me to court, and walked out to do some quick car work. Walked back in to wash my hands before heading out, and she's got her husband and on the phone with my aunt, laughing about a statute of limitations, which was incorrect. Then jumped to another lie about me not being able to since I never filed a police report. I then said we will have to see, but I'm still not paying. I leave and come back to the front screen locked, which is inside only, no key, and she's called the police on me and said I won't get back in again. Police come, I explain the above altercation, and they go talk to my mom, who says she feels unsafe, so I had to get a hotel for the night but could then return. Come back, full silent treatment, asked for a civil convo and got cussed out and told if I speak to her again, she'd call the police to have me arrested by lying, right in front of her husband. I'm pointing out who was where and when for a reason, so I walk away. July 5th comes and a sheriff comes into the house and serves me with a notice for eviction and a restraining order court form. The TLDR of the RO was that I feel disrespected, he speaks with disrespect. I feel unsafe in my own home and live with my bedroom door locked. He is unpredictable and an emotionally abusive narcissist. Nothing about a threat, violence, or abuse. Still silent treatment, I speak to a lawyer, he says the restraining order is just an attempt to speed up eviction, and don't worry about that, just focus on disproving the restraining order. Not a single word of a threat or violence, no arrest was made, and we've been living together even post paperwork. Lawyer said eviction court is slow, but the date to be out by to avoid eviction court was July 8th. So initially was going to just focus on the RO and stay, as my lawyer said was fine, but according to my sister, her goal has been to make me as uncomfortable as possible. So I left yesterday, July 9th, still have my TV and a box of clothes left there, but she's now trying to call around to my job to get me fired with more false allegations. Also, based on my last post, the issue of the rent going up was a lie. Finally got contact for the landlord and found out the rent is actually $1,050, not $1,650. This is why when I had my own APT lined up 2 months ago, she refused to give me the landlord's number or simply rent receipts to verify on-time payments, because the total on the receipts does not match what she says the rent is. So I have court on July 13th for a potential restraining order now, and my transfer has been delayed due to not knowing if I'll have future court dates from this. I've got video footage from last night of her berating me as I was leaving one last time, and it's her just screaming at the top of her lungs, calling me worthless and unwanted. So I have ammo in court to disprove the allegations. Also spoken to a close friend of my mother's, who will be a character witness for me, to find out my mother intentionally lied about the rent and bragged, because she doesn't want me to move. What a great send-off to California. Can't wait to find out what kind of facial expressions the judge makes in response to your egg donor's nonsensical ramblings. You know that expression oneself makes when you are just too aghast with the surreality of the whole affair that you have to make a conscious effort to prevent your own brain from rationalizing some shit that just cannot be rationalized in a healthy way? Something like that. Where you messed up was telling her anything. If you are going to court for eviction, you don't have to show up since you left. Since you have a lawyer, have them go to court for the RO. Go to HR and report the harassment and then file a counter RO against her for contacting your place of employment. How does she live with a locked bedroom that the Yorkie can run out of her and bite you? Hope you have photos of bites. Why didn't you go to the police yourself? You could have gotten an escort so you can get your belongings out safely. Get something in writing from the landlord and tell your mom that you are suing her for the rent you overpaid. Tell her that if she calls your work about anything, you will sue her for defamation. Let work know to record any calls from her talking trash about you. Don't give her another penny. I'd love to have THR judge throw the book. Make sure you check your credit reports to make sure she doesn't have any loans or CC out in your name. That the utilities are not in your name. It's important to monitor those. When someone I know was placed under a restraining order, neither party, the one who requested the RO and the one who was restrained by it, were permitted to communicate with each other. So, in the off chance that your mom succeeds in that effort, you will also be able to report her for approaching you if she tries to. You should press charges for the car theft and fraud. She wants to make this an issue of the courts, then make it an issue of the courts. I'm sorry, your egg donor is a piece of crap. Wow. You really didn't listen. We tried to tell you to be quiet about your move. You fumbled the bag. You could have kept it quiet and had peace. You could have really jacked her up by just being gone, but you had to pop off. Learn from this lesson and go no contact. I'm happy for your move though, I just hope you don't get even more hurt in the meantime. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.